Still related to my main field.
Sorry. Can we start again? I forgot to record.
Hello everyone, my name is Awad Al-Hamstani. I'm a structural engineer. I'm a fresh professional engineer as well. Allah yabarak. I'm specialized in the design of buildings, mainly reinforced concrete buildings. And I'm specialized as well in the structural design using software like ETAP, SAFE, CSI in general. I have as well decent experience in some other fields like highway bridges, structural steel, and even aluminum design, cladding design, and even telecommunication tower design. Kareem will continue.
Good afternoon, my name is Kareem Haddad. I have a bachelor degree in structural engineering from Syria. I have experience in both structural design and a few years on site. For here, I'm doing rebar detailing and estimating.
Hello everyone. Anyone speak English here or فينا نحكي بالعربي؟ Yeah? Okay. أهلا وسهلا فيكم. أنا اسمي لميا زودي من حمص سوريا. صار لي هون 15 سنة. جيت أنا وعائلتي لهون. أول فترة كانت صعبة علينا اشتغلت عدة أشغال بين ما فت مجال الهندسة. هلا بشتغل بالstructural steel as estimator و I'm working to evaluate my degree as PEO. مرحبا. أنا اسمي رولا. أنا مهندس مدني. اوكي. انا مهندس مدني، اختصاصي الاساسي اللي اخذته من جامعه دمشق كمهندس بيئه. عملت تعديل اختصاص بعد فتره، اخذت ستراكشرال انجينير. الخبره عندي اغلبها بالهندسه الانشائيه، كنت سايت انجينير بالامم المتحده، واشتغلت مع شركات بركب ومحطات توليد كهرباء بحسابات الكولينج تاور وهي الاشياء، فنحن كنا نعمل اعمال مدنيه لمحطات توليد الكهرباء. هلا لما جيت هون بصراحه ما كنت عارفه كيف بدي بلش كمهندس، فطبعا حتى بتذكر انه انا سالت حدا PEO اول 3 ايام انه بقدر اعملها، يقول لي لا كثير صعبه، فانا تركت الموضوع ورحت باتجاه الهوم انسبكشن. فعملت هوم انسبكشن بروجرام، كونه انا الباك جراوند تبعي هندسه وانا بقدر اني انا اعمل اونلاين، معي اطفال فانا ما بقدر انه انا اروح واجي، فانا خلصت الهوم انسبكشن بروجرام من البيت. وهلا بشتغل اوتوكاد درافتر مع شركه مطابخ وخزاين، وبشتغل انسبكشن بس على الخفيف يعني مع الناس القراب لسه ما انطلقت، وبتمنى النجاح لكل حدا ان شاء الله بيقدر يعني يعمل شيء هو حابب يعمله.
Good evening. أنا بحاول أحكي. بلشت حياتي زي معظمكم، جيت هون دخلت بالهاي سكول while I'm working، وبعدين جامعة وخلصنا أول ديجري هون. بعديها I went to Saudi Arabia for 2 years and I ran away quickly. It's not a life. And then I found myself back in Saudi Arabia again within 2 weeks of coming to Canada. They shipped me back again, different company, but this time 9 weeks. And then I came back, I did my master's here, University of Toronto. All my education is Canadian. That's why, you know, okay, never mind that, we'll continue. And 1986, I graduated. And Canadian education, Canadian experience, 1 year in Canada, 2 years in Saudi Arabia, and I couldn't find a job. Okay? So it's not against the newcomers, it's against what do you have? What's your experience? What's your connections? Whom do you know in the market? So
We'll get into that.
Yes, I know. So since 1986, I started my business, and I've been selling software to the construction industry, to the estimators, as well as the last 10 years I started doing recruitment. So I'm a professional recruiter, meaning I make my living from that. I have my business cards here, and you're all going to become my prospects. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So you're all currently working. Can you please tell us each how you got your jobs, and was it your dream job? And is there such a thing as a good job or a bad job? And let's like 3 minutes each so we can go through the whole questions, okay?
Okay. I am currently working. Never mind the dream job or not dream job. So this is my third job here. My first job was in rebar detailing. My first job, I stayed there for almost 1 year. My second job was with a contractor. It was a mix between drafting and structural design. I'm answering
How did you get
other
that?
questions. So I got the 3 jobs through Indeed.com. So that's how I got the jobs.
So your first job wasn't the ideal job?
No, but it was a good start. You have to start somewhere. So first job is drafting. Then I got 2 other engineering jobs, which are like I have a new job right now with a structural engineering firm. So it's as close as a dream job for me. This
And
new
one
one.
led to the other, or they're totally separate?
They're not related at all.
Okay. Kareem?
Yes, I'm currently working. This is my second job here in Canada. I got both jobs through networking. So for me, from my experience, this is the password, networking. First one, it was through Facebook, believe it or not. The second one, it was through spam. Or rather.
Okay, great. See, networking works.
Yeah, for me, when I get my job, it was like when I first came here, my English wasn't that good, and I was so scared to apply for jobs. So, like, I applied a little bit for coordinator, but like nobody answered. Then I worked many things. I worked in a store. I worked school bus driver. I worked many steps. Then my English improved. I decided to go to George Brown College. I study program project management for professional engineer or project management for international engineer. And I did that course in a year, and at the end of the course they have kind of replacement. So through that I get my first new job. أنا بصراحة بالنسبة لي كنت جبانة، ما كنت أقدم أبدا على الريزومي إطلاقا، يعني كان عندي حالة خوف وما بدي يصير عندي الإحباط اللي يصير عند أي حدا من قدمت مرة وتنتين وثلاثة وفشلت. فأنا رحت باتجاه الهوم انسبكشن لأنه أنا بدي أشتغل لحالي وأنا عندي أطفال، فأنا بدي أشتغل بالسكيدجول تاعي. طبعا برضه لما خلصت ما عرفت فوت بالسوق الحقيقة. ثرو نتوركينج من خلال اصدقاء ضبط هذا الشغل، انه انا اوتوكاد درافتر، انه انت فيكي ترسمي، فيكي تفهمي مخطط، فيكي تحسبي، فيكي تعملي، فبالتالي انت فيكي تعملي. قلت له ايه؟ فقال لي جو هيد، يعني حتى ما عملتش انترفيو نظام. فانا بالنسبه لي النتوركينج هو كان المفتاح.
Great, thank you.
My first start was through networking. I was a student at the university and I was doing some software design, and my colleagues came to me and said, can you do this database for us? And that's how I started. And that led to no job after graduation, and I looked around, so I created my own job. I started selling software to the construction industry. Is there a good job? Is there a bad one? Yes. Okay, that's what question I ask every person who goes through me and say, what do you dream of? What do you like to do? And are you willing to take any job? And some people say, yes, I'm willing to take any job. But some people say, no, I want to be a designer, and that's it. They become a designer. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, so does anybody have any questions so far? Anybody would like to ask anything? No? Okay, my next question to you is the Canadian experience. Is it a myth? What's the Canadian experience and how is it important?
Definitely not a myth, from my experience. Like, I think it's over like stated. That's a problem here. It's overstated, but definitely not. It is there, and it's important that you have some sort of Canadian experience. So
What does Canadian experience mean?
yeah, it's 2 branches. So you have technical skills and you have soft skills. So usually we lack the soft skills and the culture of the Canadian workplace and stuff like that. But even in the technical skills, if you studied in Syria or somewhere else, you didn't study I'm talking from a technical point of view as a designer. We didn't study the same code, same even same materials. So there are some things you need to update. As for the soft skills, those bridging courses, any book you can read, stuff like that, definitely can help.
I agree with Rababa. There is 2 branches for Canadian experience. For the technical experience, you will get it since you get your training into your job. But the most important is how to do things like Canadian. So do it Canadian way. Yes, do it. Like the way to introduce yourself. Your resume, for example, we all coming from Middle East and we use CV there. Nobody is familiar with your resume. So this is something Canadian experience, your resume. How to introduce yourself, how to talk, how to speak, how to sit. So try to do it Canadian. This is the Canadian experience. But to be honest, there is nothing called Canadian experience by itself. Say I work for this employer or for the other one, so I get Canadian experience. This is not correct.
At this point, I don't agree with you actually. Because when I came here, I work in many things. So I get Canadian experience from my work. You need to understand the culture here. You need to understand the society. Like if you're an engineer and you get a job, like when you come here right away, go to like engineering company or work, it's going to be very hard for you. Like my recommendation, it's okay for you to work other job. Get Canadian experience or that.
What is it, in your opinion? What is Canadian?
Like how they think, how they act, how they they do things seriously than what we used to do it. Yeah, so like I think it's good you can get it from any places, but when you go to engineering company, it's like you can get that engineering experience. I remember when I also like when you go to the company, don't be that scared. They will teach you. They will tell you what to do as a job, but like for the culture, for the culture you need to learn it also. That's all.
هلا الكل عم يحكي بالانجليزي وانا هي حاحكيها بالعربي صراحه يعني مصر احكي عربي. الفكره هي انه اول ما تروحي مثلا على الاي ال تي بروجرامز او يجوا يخبروكي تعملي الكورس تبع تحضير الرزوميه وكل هذا الحكي، اول شغله بتحط لك اياها المعلمه بوشك الكنديان اكسبيرينس، وبتحكي لك بحيث انه هذا الكنديان اكسبيرينس انا صار بالنسبه لي ضابع، يعني انا بس اسمع كنديان اكسبيرينس هيك راسي بيقلب انه عم بتقلي انه انت مش ضروري تشتغلي مهندسه، روحي فليب همبرجر ان ماكدونالدز and this is a Canadian experience. I know.
It is actually.
So this is about Canadian do things.
Yes, she said so. So I said, okay, I can do it. But with me, as a mom, I can't leave my home for 6, 7 hours, 8 hours to flip hamburger in McDonald's. So أنا بتفق مع لميا إنه أهم شيء بالكنديان إكسبيرينس، لو عملت فولنتير بمدرسة وأنا عملتها بمدرسة أولادي، لو عملت يعني بأي محل إنك تتعاطى مع العالم توقف عشان تعرف العالم كيف بتفكر، لأنه نحن بنعرف نقرا بعض كعرب من وجوه بعض من رد فعلك، بس هون أنت ما فيك تفهمهم، يعني أنت ما بتعرف الباك جراوند تبع الواحد وما بتعرف شو ضامر وما بتعرف شو عم بفكر، ممكن ما يتصرف أي شيء يزعجك ولكن يكون عم بحضر لك يعني مغرز ماكن، فهذا هو الكنديان اكسبيرينس. انك انت تفهم على هدول الناس اعصابي، انك انت تفهم على هدول الناس شو عم بيحضروا لك، كيف عم بيفكروا نتيجه هذا التصرف اللي انت تصرفته شو راح يكون مخبى لك. فهي
الكونسيكونس يعني رد فعل مو بحضر لك.
طب اوكي هي بتلطف الكلام.
انا بلطف الجو.
Okay, so you went,
تفاعل
مشان الطاقه عرفتي؟ تحاول تنزل الطاقه اللي عندي لانه طاقتي كثير سيئه.
so flipping burgers is not a Canadian experience, but it gives you a reference. It tells me as an employer that you went to work on time, you came back, you delivered what they taught you, and that you were a good employee. That's what it's going to do for us. Is it a myth? It is a myth. A few years back, we needed engineers who are going to work for Ontario Hydro and big EPC firms, engineering, procurement, construction. We couldn't get them in Canada. So we got them from the new immigrants, or we went to the States and we got them from there, and we didn't say to them, do you have Canadian experience? Because there's no Canadians that have that experience. So we hire from outside. We hire international people anytime, and we give them good salaries. But that depends on the industry you're applying. That's in the APC market. If you're applying for a general contractor who's building buildings, they're going to say, I don't want to train you. And by the way, one of you at least is going to say that to me in 10 years. I don't want a newcomer. I don't want to train them. The Canadian experience is basically, you know the lingo, the language a little bit, and you've gone back and forth, and I don't have to train you. That's the bottom line. Okay? So it depends on which company. And by the way, if I'll give you one more company to apply for, all the building industry like Rona, Home Hardware, Home Depot. Go there, they'll hire you right away, and you get excellent experience, and they pay you minimum wage.
And they know the material if they want to order.
You get to know the lingo because you are in the building trade. You get to know what the stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they
spend
have
some
free
time there.
training.
Free training.
Those workshops.
Can I give an example?
Go ahead.
One of my clients hired somebody through me, Lebanese guy, and within 2 days I got a complaint about him. He didn't know the word underpinning. What's underpinning? And his boss said to me, oh, he should look it up in the dictionary. So if you've gone through Home Hardware and Home Depot and so on, you will know the technical names for everything. Okay, so that's it.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
Okay, there is a very useful way to beat the Canadian experience, which is hit and run courses. So take a quick course related to your field, whatever the course is it AutoCAD drafting, Revit drafting, and there is too many courses like this, like I know a Revit course in Sheridan, it's once a week in the weekend for 5 weeks. So first of all, you will get Canadian experience by dealing with Canadian people, Canadian teachers using the market language here, and you will fill your resume. You will close that gap in your resume since you moved here and you are looking for your first job. This is a good way to beat the Canadian experience.
Great.
ضيف كمان مثل ما ضاف كريم. هلا انا كمان شغله ساعدتني، اخذت كورس برايرسون اسمه ورك بليس كوميونيكيشن بروجرام، له علاقه بالببليك سبيكينج يعني الكلتشر الكنديه بوقت العمل. هم الاربع بروجرام كثير مفيدين. هلا في تريك عملتها بعد ما اخذته، انه حطيت على اللينكد ان عندي، ضفتها كشهاده اخذتها انه حضرت هالبروجرام. هلا هي التريك انه صار اول ما تفتحي على اللينكد ان عندي وبعدها رايرسون، فهاي يعني كمان طريقه لموضوع الكنديان اكسبيرينس. when they look you up they will see Ryerson something Canadian.
So in case we want to get that Canadian experience through working as a volunteer in our fields, because I think if someone's gonna pay you, is gonna like focus on teaching you. But while if you are doing like services for free, would be like more comfortable in giving you that experience. So like there's like I heard about programs that were funded by the government. Now there's nothing like that. It's like now more scarce. So how can we gain access to such kind of programs so we can get experience, like some kind of focused experience? Without getting paid, and we can pay ourselves for a limited time.
When you apply, say you are willing to volunteer for 1 month.
No, I'm asking about something related to my field. I can find.
What's your field
I'm a communication engineer, and I got some Cisco certificate recently, and I got.
So it doesn't matter. Volunteer for 1 month. You want to volunteer to get in and get to break this Canadian experience myth. You go and volunteer for a couple of months if you have the money to survive.
Yeah, but I want some kind of opportunity related to my field because
Okay.
I have Canadian experience, and like to what I know, like the recruiters usually, if they saw you doing Superman, they'll give you Spider-Man, but nobody will switch you from doing like something, let's say like general labor, they will not put you behind a desk right away.
Okay, I cannot help you because you are not in my field. I'm in the construction. But assuming I could help you, basically you contact me, you give me your resume, and then I will see if I can refer you to somebody in your field. But yeah, you have to.
And there are some agencies that will help you, and we'll get to that in the
Yeah,
next.
the problem with the recruiters is that they will look exactly for some matching skills.
We have a recruiter here.
Remember, it's a favor I was going to do you. I will be looking for my right people. So for you, now you know me, for example, and if I was in your field, I'll take your resume and I'll try to find you a volunteer. It's a favor I'm going to do you. It's not, you're not going to be on my list. So
Usually there's nothing that's not a kind of charity, you know.
you have to find the recruiters that work in your field and deal with your field, and somehow go and meet them and tell them you're willing to volunteer, and try to network with these people as much as you can. We'll talk later. We'll explain to you how you do it.
I just have like some advice. If you want to go to small company. There's some companies, there's 2 or 3 people. They will willing to get you, but you cannot go to BCL without any experience. You cannot go to bigger people. Go to small people. Start with them. They will teach you. Then you can apply for bigger.
Yeah, we're not talking about not spending any time at all to take that experience. We're talking about putting yourself in a place where you can gain the right experience that can move you to the next step. Because I already have like around 16 months of experience, but I cannot put them on my resume because that's going to be like, you know, gonna be like this, I don't know how to say it, like.
Okay, let's keep this discussion going, and we'll see if they can answer your question.
As I told you, I'm not gonna take too much time.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So where were we? We finished. So the next question was.
Sorry,
Are you still taking
the
questions?
chance to discuss at this point, especially
You want to ask another question? You want to ask another question now? Go ahead.
Yeah, because I have a doubt about this.
You don't like using
I have a doubt about the Canadian experience. Because this is the problem that I am facing now. I've been here in Canada for 6 months only, and I'm applying like daily. I'm a civil engineer working especially in structure, steel engineering, construction field. Now, first thing the guys was saying that the Canadian experience is the culture. Then the lady here said, no, it's not cultural, that there's a Canadian experience, you should work in the Canadian companies to get this experience. Well, I think I don't understand this because like if somebody's working with international companies, there's no Canadian or American or Italian or anything. Like I was working with an international company. You can deal with a Canadian guy, Gulf guy, Syrian guy, and all of them are doing the same job. So I don't understand, like I'm a construction engineer in the field. I was doing all the job that I see the guys doing now here in Canada. It's the same thing. Like when you work with international companies. Sorry, it's not about a Canadian experience. It's about the companies. Like each company has its own regulations.
Let me interject here. We're in Canada, so there is Canadian experience. And the firms, even if they're international, they're Canadian based, so they will have a Canadian culture. And thirdly, things in construction is different internationally than it's done if it's a Canadian project, right? The construction methods are different. The language is different. The RFP language is different. So there are differences, and what they're saying is not this or that, it's a combination of everything. It's not technical, it's not only soft.
It's in English.
I can answer that. Would you please introduce yourself?
I'm Abdullah Abu Shawish. I'm from Palestine, Canadian citizen from 2001.
Okay, and what we are doing now?
I'm Uber.
No, I mean you introduced yourself as a construction engineer.
Yes.
Okay, this is not Canadian. Because if you are not a professional engineer with a license, you don't have the right to introduce yourself as an engineer.
Yeah.
So if your first line, if your first line on your resume says your name, construction engineer, the employer, he will not look at your resume because you are not doing things Canadian.
I'm telling you, I'm a construction engineer, but I'm a civil and structural engineer. But the things that you're talking about, it's not Canadian experience, it's Canadian education.
No, this is the Canadian experience, how to write your resume to make the Canadian people who are hiring you to look at it. You need to make it Canadian, you need to make it attractive. So if you have introduced yourself on your resume as an engineer without a PNG license, so I'm not gonna look at your resume because you don't match the Canadian experience. I'm gonna hire you, you will pick your phone one day and you'll say, okay, this is engineer so and so. So this is not Canadian. That will affect my company because the professional engineers of Ontario, they're gonna take me to court because someone is working for me introducing himself as an engineer. So this is Canadian.
This is one point, what other? Now I'm starting to understand. So
We-
professional engineer is one of the
We'll
things.
bring
No,
example.
not the professional engineer itself. It's the way you are introducing yourself. So you should introduce yourself as the Canadian introduce themselves. If you are writing on your resume, I am an engineer, I'm sorry, this person, he doesn't know anything about Canadian jobs. He doesn't know anything about Canadian regulations. So I'm not gonna hire him. Okay, I'm gonna give him some training, some technical training, but I'm not gonna give him some soft skills training. So this is the Canadian experience. Even on your resume, maybe Sam is more experienced in this. There is a few tips and tricks. Let's say if you are using bold font, it will affect your resume. If you are using dot or period at the end of each sentence, it will affect your resume because it's not Canadian.
Even the job description.
Even the job description. So this is the Canadian experience we are trying to tell you about.
Okay, just to clarify the word engineer. I'm an engineer, I'm not a PNG. I dropped the PNG a long time ago. So you can call yourself a construction engineer, civil engineer, mechanical, whatever you want in this country, and they cannot touch you. The moment you call yourself PNG and you put the P in front of it, you are in trouble. Now, if you are part of PEO, professional, you can call EIT, engineer in training. Even though you got your degree, but they have not.
It's engineering intern. It's not engineer in training. You are not allowed to use the word engineer unless you get your PNG license. So even for the ID, it's engineering intern.
You can use engineer, and use that if you have the degree of engineering, you can use engineer.
Yeah, but not if you are
I know,
part
I know.
of PEO. When since
If you are not-
if you are not joining
you
PEO,
have to use this.
yeah. So at the time you entered to PEO and you started to be a member, you have regulation that regulate what you are writing on your public documentation, public like LinkedIn, Facebook, anything like that.
I know it's what.
If you are a member of PEO, you are not allowed to put engineer on your resume.
If I'm a member of PEO.
PEO. If you are out of PEO stage or situation or membership, you can put whatever, nobody will judge you.
Yeah,
So this is the point.
So I don't have to be a PE to work in the construction.
Actually, majority of people working for companies, they are not a PNG.
Okay, that's fine. So
I just-
also said, I'm sorry, I want to listen to you.
Okay.
Let's continue.
Let me just clarify one thing for you. Canadian experience versus what you learn in Syria or other countries. There, an engineer can handle the job from A to Z. That means you do one estimate every 6 months, one project every 6 months, and whatever. So you are limited. Here in Canada, Canadian experience means you're sitting at your desk doing estimating every day, 8 hours a day. Or you are a project manager or project coordinator. So there's a difference in the concept. When I meet people, I say, are you willing to sit down 8 hours and doing drafting or doing estimating? So there is a difference between what you've learned overseas, even though you've done estimating, but you've done it once and you just got over it because you love project management and you want to go in the field and manage your projects as an engineer. So there are differences. When we take you in tomorrow morning, and I'm not against you, I'm on your side. When we take you in tomorrow morning, okay, we put you in a corner. We don't know whether you can even do estimates or not. We don't know if you know about the weather and winter heat that we need when we are doing jobs. We don't know if you know underpinning or not. As I said, one of my applicants, Syrian Lebanese applicant, I called him that way because he was mixed. he almost failed. Here's what happened with him. They almost fired him within the first week for 2 reasons. and I'm just going to take one extra minute. He had perfume on him, and the complaint was he smelled. When I went to see him, he jumped at me, and he went to his car and showed me a perfume bottle worth $100. That's not the topic. The topic is it alienated the manager, and he did not know underpin. To make the story to end, he's still with the company, he moved up the ladder, and the boss was fired. So the point is this, once we got that applicant in the job he likes, which is sales, because he was doing sales in Saudi Arabia, he's not a good technical engineer, he wasn't good in estimating. He was almost going to get fired for two reasons, for the manager complaining, and later on for not being a good estimator. But once we moved him to purchasing, haggling, negotiating, he is excellent. He's one of the top people in Toronto.
So this is
Please. We can explain later.
Just one last question, very short, please. Okay, so.
Hi, all right, so, sorry. So we've already established that the Canadian experience, you would have to get it in your field. Like it can't just be like a burger flipping job. All right, so if I were to get experience not in the field, but something closely related to the field, like I'm in the architecture industry, but like say I could experience in like city planning, would that still count as Canadian experience in my field?
Yes. Anybody have any answer? Or, it does count. That's the answer to your question.
Let's say you spend 2 years doing planning, and then you want to become a project manager. Okay, that experience count as Canadian experience, meaning you know the lingo and you know life and you know everything, but you're going to start at zero as far as salary is concerned. Maybe we'll give you a few $1,000s above zero. I mean, zero is 40,000 by the way. So all the beginners jobs that I deal with, 40,000 is the starting salary, if I can get that for the person. So if you change after a year or two, you'll be down to 40, 45. You'll sacrifice all that experience. So yes, you have Canadian, but you cannot use it to get 60 or 70,000. Okay?
Would I be able to apply for an architecture job, like if I were to be experienced in planning? Like, would I be able to go with that?
If you stay in planning, it's great. Then you are moving up the ladder. Okay? But if you want to switch to estimating or something that you don't have the right experience, you're going to have to go down and then you'll catch up. But it doesn't mean it's bad to go down. We just give you a chance and then you grow from there. Trust me, you can be in no time way higher than what you were. Because if you have the skills, you have the experience. Okay?
Now you can ask.
No, I want to mention one more thing. It's related to using the word engineer. I'm just coming quick to this. I applied to a job on LinkedIn, and I used the word engineer describing my previous experience back home in Syria. And the man, he came back to me with a few lines from the regulation book of professional engineers of Ontario, and he said, if I am going to hire you based on you describing yourself as a structural engineer, even back home in Syria, I will take you to the court because you don't have a license here. So that would make me change it to a structural engineering graduate. I just used the word structural engineer, and I told him, I replied to his message on LinkedIn that I use it to describe myself back home. He said, it doesn't matter, but you are describing yourself as an engineer without a license. So if I'm going to hire you, I'm going to take you to the court on the other day. Change your LinkedIn profile, and if you are going to keep it like this, I'm going to call you to court tomorrow morning. But this is Canadian. It's a Canadian experience.
So my next question is, what other challenges did you face as newcomers besides the Canadian experience? We talked a lot about the Canadian experience. And how did you overcome these challenges?
Except money.
Huh?
Except money.
Except money counts. Yeah. So let's start with Wada.
I would say it's not really a challenge, but language is key. I can't stress that enough. language. It's not that me as a technical person, I don't really need to use sophisticated language, but man, when you reach this interview, you've applied maybe 100 CVs and you got the interview. If your language is good, you can express and show your skills in a clear way. If you're showing because most of us have remarkable technical skills, but we're lacking these communication skills. So when you improve your language, listen to podcasts, listen to movies, radio, anything. Try to listen to Canadian stuff, especially news and podcasts. But any English will help you, trust me. So this will definitely help. So when you're at that interview, if you have, I know they tell you that you should have a 30-minute pitch, but sometimes they will give you maybe 10 minutes to talk. So if you have a structured way of talking and you know what you're gonna talk and practice that, that's gonna help you definitely.
It's not necessary to have also an accent. It's just English. How to?
Yeah, I don't think the accent is
necessarily,
no. It's you should be clear and structured, and that's it. Accent is not the problem.
Language, especially work language. So you know what they call it back home, but you know what do they call it here. So this is really important. And the resume writing, also the interview experience, because I had never got a job through interview before I come here. So I have zero interview experience. This was one of the most challenging when I first came here.
From my experience, I think language is very important. When you have enough language, you can apply, and also fairness. So when I came here, I was so scared how I will go work in company I don't know anything about it. But after I start working, somebody they call me. They have from Chinese or India. They have strong accent. So this, don't be scared. I hardly can understand them, but they're working. And also the things, you don't need to go for a job like as engineer. For example, if you go for coordinator is so easy for you. You don't need, you just need to know the concept of the field. You don't need to have course or to have experience. You can start with this job. Also some small company with estimating, also you can start. And through my connection, when people call me, many people I know from their names, they're Arabic, so we start chatting in Arabic. So many of them, they just work as coordinator without any experience. Yeah, you can apply for that job. Yeah.
أنا بالنسبة لي الحقيقة وما زلت مصرحة بالعربي.
Okay.
بالنسبة لي أنا كان نقص المعلومات أو عدم وجود حدا يفهمني بالضبط كيف بدي أتحرك. يعني أنا أول ما جيت حكيت لكم سألت واحد PEO إنه أنا مهندس مدني، هو خريج هون، أنا شو بعمل؟ ما خبرني شيء عن PEO، أنا كنت شايفة هذا الخاتم بإيده مش عارف شو هو. ما خبرني إنه فيك تقدمي مثلا، ما قال لي إنه شو فيك تعملي. بترجع بتصادف حدا ثاني بقول لك هذا الحدا الثاني أنا قدمت 100 مرة وما حدا أخذني، فعم يسوق أوبر. او مثلا مثل زوجي عملنا شركه ترانسبورتيشن تراسكات وعم يشتغل عليها مع انه معه ماستر ميكانيكال انجينير. فالفكره هي انه انت لما تاخذ اول ما تيجي شو المعلومات اللي بتقابلها وكيف هي المعلومات بتطبع بقيه حياتك كلها بكندا. فانا هذا بالنسبه لي كان تشالنج، انه انا اول ما جيت ما عرفت انه في شيء اسمه PEO، ما عرفت انه انا بقدر اقدم امتحانات ارجع اعادل شهادتي، فرحت باتجاه الهوم انسبكشن. عم بعمل اوتوكاد درافتر، عملت فالنتير بمدرسه الاولاد، انا بعتبر حالي ضيعت 6 سنين. بس
يعني لو علمك هذاك كنتي
لو علمني من وقتها كنت قدمت الامتحان ومشيت، بس ما علمني. ما فهمني شو بدي اعمل، في حين انا صادفتك بالصدفه وانت فهمتيني شو بدي اعمل بس بعد 6 سنين.
So she was lucky she came
Yes.
and she met us.
So, before I talk about my personal experience, accent and English language are the two things that you have to master. Okay, now if you are Egyptian with a heavy accent, I still understand them. But if you are anybody, I don't want to mention names, that you speak fast. So when I do seminars like this, I tell people to slow down and stress every letter in the word that you're going to speak, especially when you are in interviews, because if I don't understand you, Because of your accent, it doesn't matter if you know all the English grammar. Your accent has to be clear so I can hear you on the phone and communicate with you. So communication is accent. As far as my experience, remember I came here very young and I wanted to go to the university. So I did the first TOEFL exam. I got like 65 or 70. So I waited 6 months. I went to school for 6 months. I did the second exam and I went up 5 points. The university wanted 90% in TOEFL before I get in. So if I just continued with that, I wouldn't be an engineer. So luckily for me, I went to York University and they said, I asked them, do you want me to do TOEFL? They said, no, you can do that or do our own exam. So I did their own exam. It was much different exam, relaxed exam. I passed.
I did that one too.
Yeah, York, okay. So I did 1 year at York. Then I transferred to University of Toronto, and again they said you need TOEFL, you need English. I said, guys, there gotta be a way. I've been in Canada now 1 year studying at the University of Toronto, and there gotta be a way. They said, if you have 2 years Canadian education, let's go Canadian education, then we will forgive you from TOEFL. I said, I got it, because I spent 1 year working and doing grade 13. And 1 year at York University. So the problems are going to continue for us all the time, and we have to find innovative solutions.
I want to add to that. So I was applying for a master's degree at York, and they wanted the IELTS. And then I said, no, I'll take the York University English Language test. And then I applied to UFT for the ethics course that we have to take, mandatory. They said, no, you have to do the IELTS. I go, I already did a master's at York. And they, we need the IELTS. I kept fighting with them for like 2 months until they said, okay, fine. So don't give up. If they tell you something, doesn't mean that it's right. You have to, research and know what's been done before and, do what you think is right.
Just to add, you have to know your rights. Yeah. When I transferred from York to University of Toronto, I applied for engineering science, which is the highest course in engineering, and then I put chemical and I put civil or something like that. Okay, and then when they accepted me, they put me into 2 or 3. And the first question, I went back to them, I said, I applied for number 1. Why I'm in 2 or 3? When the assistant dean, associate dean couldn't answer, because I went downtown and I met with him, I said, what's going on? He said, you have the marks from York. You should be into number 1. So they transferred me to number 1.
Yeah, you have what's easier for them, I think. And the same thing, they denied me the master's degree for me. And I wrote them a letter and saying, how can you deny me? I've been working for 10 years. I have the grades that I need. And they came back to me with an apology. Okay, you're accepted. So don't accept a no, never.
Okay, anybody has any questions? Any questions
About challenges?
Maybe it's a bit related to that question before. So what were the expectations and beliefs which you brought with you from home, wherever you came from, and when you landed or
yeah, that's our next question. So,
great.
So we're going to answer
I
that.
wasn't reading.
Okay. Okay, we're coming to that. So first, before that, I'm going to ask, you guys submitted millions of resumes and you almost gave up, right? But some of you did not give up, and that's why you're still working. So what do you say to people who say, I give up, I submitted too many resumes, I'm not doing this anymore? And tell us a bit about the interview and how you passed your interview. Very briefly, don't go into, but what do you think was the thing that got you through that interview? Keywords, something like that. Whoever did take the interview.
I have to say it's normal, so don't give up, it's normal. You would send literally hundreds of resumes. I'll just tell you something about myself. I've been here for 3 years. I worked in 3 different jobs. I just landed my newest job. And I had 3 interviews, 3 jobs, that's it. But I sent like thousands of resumes.
So what did you do right in the interview?
Just prepare. I know like sending too many resumes and not getting an answer is frustrating, but when you get this one interview, make sure you nail it. Make sure you prepare for you can Google the typical questions they will throw at you. And make sure you
Give us examples of
where do you see yourselves and whatever. Be prepared when they ask you about the salary, what's your range, but again, be flexible. Like, tell them what you think you deserve based on the market and pay scale and whatnot, but tell them that I know that especially for your first job, because you're a newcomer, I know that I might not have Canadian experience, but when you do that, whenever you mention a disadvantage, mention how you're going to overcome that. Tell them that you have, say, experience with international companies. Tell them that you are familiar with international codes, something like that. But the main thing for me is this, what they call it elevator pitch, which is like imagining you are with someone in the elevator, and during this 30 seconds, you should tell them about yourself in an interesting way, because like there are some studies that during the first 30 seconds or maybe 2 minutes, Sam, do you agree, that you will make your mind? But having said that, I would say have a different version, like be prepared to talk for infinity, maybe talk for 15 minutes, have in your mind, have enough to talk about for 15 minutes, because sometimes they give you time to express yourself, so you don't want to be sitting there like this, maybe that's it. You have a lot of experience, so, but structure it in a way that start with the big picture, then if they allow you more time, you start explaining, and again, even with the sub-point, stick with the structure. There are some techniques, I don't know, are we gonna submit these materials? So I have some techniques in the presentation, maybe we will, like, just shortly maybe, zoom in, zoom out, contract, compare and contrast, stuff like that will help. And talk in threes maybe, that's just a technique, but I find it useful. And all these techniques I took from the workplace communication program from Harrison. I highly recommend if they have, every year they have bursary, free admission for around maybe 100 students. It's a workplace communication program at Ryerson. So it's free, but they have a limited number every year.
First of all, it doesn't matter how many resumes you submit, but you should have a resume for each job you are going to apply for. So tailor your resume. And for the interview tips, I'm gonna borrow some statements from a very experienced person. He's a general manager. He was with us here on the previous session. So first of all, dressing, no perfume, and eye contact. This is really important, and this is the Canadian way. Second thing, do your homework. So search the company website, go deep in the job post, go to their LinkedIn profile, do whatever you need to do to know more about the company, to know more about the people you are going to hire. Because if someone is going to hire you, he needs you to be involved in everything they are doing. They don't want to bring someone from Mars to hire him in their company. So do your homework. For the salary expectation, always try to avoid this question by saying you are working to build your career. Of course, money is important, but I'm here to build my career. Also, if they ask you where do you see yourself in 5 years, reverse that and ask them, okay, would you please show me the structure of this company so I can tell you where I could fit in 5 years? So tell me more about your company structure. I'm going to tell you where I'm going to see myself in 5 years. Also, try to use the word team. In your resume, you use I. During the interview, use I and team. Me as a part of the team, we did this, we did that. Because they need a team player. They don't need someone individual to sit in the corner and work by himself with his screen or whatever. They need someone who can deal with people, who can deal with problems, who can solve problems. Show flexibility and ability to adapt. This is really important. So don't be tough, even with your hand shaking. Last week, the person here was sitting at that corner, and he said, sometimes I made my decision to hire someone within the first 5 minutes. Sometimes from the first hand shaking. So he shook my hand really tough, and I can judge that this person is really tough. He doesn't have the ability to adapt and to work with the team. If they ask you about your weakness, again, try to flip the table. okay, what's your weakness point? You try to avoid by saying I'm not good in this and that, by saying I'm familiar with this, but I will need some improvement. So try to flip the table over there. And we have two recruiters here. We need to hear from you also about some interview tips.
In my case, I told you I did program at George Brown College. At that course, they look for a job for us, so I didn't send a resume myself. So they help us to prepare resume, and they sent that resume to the company. Like, for example, I was looking for estimating job, so they sent me my resume for a company who are looking for estimator.
Yeah, but
So.
you have to do an interview with them.
Yeah, my interview wasn't that hard. You need to do research for the company. You need to know information about it, and you need to know about the tips. And also, like that company, they were looking for kind of new graduate. They were not looking for Canadian experience, so that helped me. It's dependent. Every company is different.
In my experience, actually, I didn't apply for any resume. I didn't go for any appointment or anything like that. It was by chance. But the advice was when they offer you something, accept it whatever it is. And that was the advice.
Okay.
Okay. The heavy technical questions, where you're going to see yourself in 5 years and this and that, are great if there is a human resource guy or lady in the meeting. I work with the contractors. The contractors don't give any credit to your experience international. Remember, that's what I said earlier. But they want to see somebody doing estimating for them, and they don't ask all these critical questions. They ask you, show me your experience. So, to answer the question, never give up on sending resumes. Keep sending resumes. Number two, stay connected with people like me, Lula, and anybody else in associations. How many of you want to become estimators? Okay, anybody show up? Put up your hands. Okay, there is the Ontario Institute of Quantity Surveyors. They have a student chapter. All of you qualify for that. You should be part of that. You want to become a designer? Find the group that does design and become a student member, because they have seminars like this which you can go and attend and network, and then you will get jobs. We had a group of Ryerson students who were applying for project management with their architects graduating, and we had a gathering like this at the end of the year, and 5 of their students got jobs because they came to a session that the Ontario Institute of Quantity Surveyors, which I was a member, at that time we had an event like this. Okay, so if you are going to meetings and getting connected, you're going to get a job. Okay, resume is hard, but you need connections. But you have to be active. You cannot sit at home and say the connection is going to come to you. Okay. Another thing, when you do the interviews, I have a client friend. Okay. And basically he went from $0 to about $120,000 in 7 years. Okay? Now, he listened to my instructions. I told him at one time, quit everything and go and study grade 13. And he did that. He was around 60,000. He still quit. Well, he was laid off. So I said, quit searching. Don't do anything. Go and study English. So he went and did grade 13, but it didn't help him. However, the point is this. He built himself from not knowing a word of English the first time I met him to 120,000. And the trick is in the interview. He goes in the interview, he will try to take control of the interview. And what he does, he has his portfolio, whether it's a computer or an Excel spreadsheet. When he got some Canadian experience, now he starts showing some Canadian stuff. And he would go in the interview and say, let me show you what I do. I do this estimating, I do this, I do this, I do this. And based on that, I win the jobs. And based on that, he got hired. They didn't ask him any other questions. And he moved up. But when it was time to learn English, he went back to study it. And until now, he became the chief estimator for a company. He's the only estimator and he's the chief. Okay? So it's not a big deal to be a chief estimator. But he will never work for Ellis Don or a big company that have 3-4 estimators, because his English is not going to help him. So what is happening? He reached a plateau. He's not going to go further beyond 120,000 or whatever it is. So eventually he quit and started his own contracting business recently. So that is a story of success. What? He showed his own work. Take a portfolio. If you are a designer, you got to take a portfolio. I don't want to look at you and see how you look. I want to see your work. I want to see the designs. Bring those to the interview, and hopefully that will help you. Okay.
Thank you. Can we hear from Suj? What's your take on this?
So, one thing you guys have, can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
Did you turn it on?
There you go.
Please introduce yourself.
Sorry, my name is Syrian. Just like Sam, I'm also a recruiter. I have my consulting firm as well. So one thing everybody needs to understand is the HR department in certain companies. These HR departments have people that are newly graduating out of their program and they're coming there and sitting on those positions. So the hiring manager will say, you know, I need a guy who can do this, this, and this. So the HR person is going to be looking at your resume for those keywords that he or she got from the hiring manager. And not a lot of the HR have the background or the expertise to say that, you know, to read in detail and figure out, okay, this person does have that experience because they're talking about this in their sentence, in their resume. So what I'm saying is that the HR person is going to be, for example, they're going to be looking at keywords like SAT, FAT, and that's it. But they wouldn't understand if you explain it in detail without mentioning SAT or FAT. So you have to do the keyword, and when you're applying for a job, you know, read the job description, and you're going to have to do a resume kind of like, you know, to cater to that. If you are going to just use one resume and apply for all the job, you're not going to be getting it. This is an age where resumes are being filtered by computer programs. They are going to be looking at these keywords. It's very important. When it comes to me and Sam, we're on a different ball game because, you know, we tend to have the background and to interpret the resume and figure out. And it also depends on the relationship that we have with the HR department of that company, where they trust us. That, you know, we are going to be presenting the candidates that they're going to be, and it's a relationship that we build over time as well. And it doesn't happen just like that. So it's very important that, you know, you understand the HR department, because most of the people are extremely young and they're coming into they are going for HR. They don't have engineering background or anything, so they wouldn't be able to tell you, like, you know, what an FAT, SAT. You go to an engineering company, you have an HR person there, most likely they don't know these lingos. So how do you bypass them? It's a very important thing. I had a lot of clients who have HR, they missed out on great people because they didn't know how to interpret figure out from their resume properly. And that's another thing. And yes, you know, there's going to be a lot of guys and girls here who are going to reach that position. You're going to be a hiring manager in the future. And you might be looking, you know, there are politics within companies where a person, for example, I have a client who is looking for commissioning and qualification. And I have some amazing people who have been in India and they have excellent experience. And I can figure it out because I'm talking to them, I'm using the lingo, I'm going in detail and pulling it out of them. But when I present it to the client, they're very scared to take that person on, even though they know that they're capable of doing so, because there are company politics as well. You know, every company you go to, there's going to be company politics. He has another, you know, a director in commissioning qualification who's looking to put him down. And obviously he's scared that if he hires one wrong person, that he will be vulnerable to, yeah. So you have to understand that as well. And also, the perfect job that you are looking for, it's not going to come to you right away. You know, get a job that will, like, you know, complement, and maybe you have to wait your time to pounce on that perfect job. That is a huge thing that I would say, because a perfect job that what you're exactly looking for is not going to come to you like right away. It's not going to be open, it's not going to be available. Maybe you're not looking at the right place, but at the same time, you cannot be wasting your time, you know, sitting around and not accumulating the experiences that will eventually get you there. And it could be a direct experience, or it could be an indirect experience as well. So everything helps. My business partner is an accountant by profession, and he was, you know, doing an accounting job and everything. It's a very boring accounting job, but he had an opportunity to move into supply chain, and, you know, he took that little opportunity. And, you know, he's accountant by profession, but he went into supply chain as well. Now, he found a niche market for himself, where his extreme accounting skills came to complement his new role as a supply chain manager, where he's able to crunch numbers so good that he's able to, like, you know, destroy all the competitors and, you know, bring down the cost of the 3PL significantly. So it's, you know, you getting some other experience doesn't mean it's not going to complement you in the future. Like, everything matters. You just have to find a way to crunch everything together and find that niche position where nobody could touch you. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so my next question to you is about bridging programs, employment agencies, and LinkedIn. Everybody loves LinkedIn. What are your thoughts on bridging programs? Do they work? Would you recommend them? And also LinkedIn as a platform for networking and applying for jobs.
Yeah, I would say bridging program, definitely. This program I talked to you about at Ryerson, it really helped me in the, especially in the soft skills and Canadian culture in general. It's introduced me to that, and I got to put it on my LinkedIn. So for LinkedIn, I'm not sure you can get a job through LinkedIn, but when you go to interviews, they're definitely gonna check up your LinkedIn profile. So make sure you have a good LinkedIn profile, you have some good credentials, and you have also your likes, the companies you're following, everything matters, your connections as well. So LinkedIn helps, but it's not the only way to get the job. So it's a good way for connections and to build a good profile. So when they check your LinkedIn profiles, they can have a good idea about yourself. What was the last question?
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
The bridging program is important because it introduces you to the Canadian culture, but try to pick a good one. Like I joined the one that in Access Employment Center because it has only 2 days workshop at Hamburg College, and I can add that to my LinkedIn profile and to my resume, which is great. Like the same what happened with Abada by adding Ryerson. Also, don't trust them or don't overestimate them when they tell you, okay, we have a placement for you by the end of the bridging program. We're gonna find you a job. We have a person who can introduce your resume to so many companies. These are government-funded programs, so they want more people to join. My experience from Access Employment, they had the person, he was helping us to apply for jobs by doing cold calling or by teaching us how to create a LinkedIn profile, and that's it. So go for a bridging program. It's going to take 6 weeks of your time, but go for a good one who has 2 days workshop or anything under one of the big names here in Canada, like Ryerson or Hamburg College or whatever.
So bridging program is helping actually. You can I remember I get once for environmental company. but they pick like few people. I was one of them, but I didn't go for the final interview. So in this case, help me. But like I get more help when I go for George Brown College. When you go for like good name or company, they trust some names. George Brown is like company trusts that name, so you can go there. They will help you for that. Also, you don't need to go for full-time program. There's program also part-time on weekend or just like twice a week. Just when you put that name on your resume, like you graduated from George Brown, they like that name. They like special names for like Ryerson, University of Toronto, so it's good for you to have that on your resume.
Anyway, my experience is much more different than them. When I came at the beginning, I went to the ELT program, and actually I had a very bad experience. All my experiences were bad, all of them. So what's that? It's an experience. I remember that lady said that 30% of the jobs in the job market are just on the internet, and the 70% are hidden in networking. So she put the basics for me that you need networking. So what worked with me was the networking. Friends, just friends. No agencies. I didn't try recruiters. There's nice recruiters. I didn't try them. But for the agencies, I didn't have any benefits from them except writing resumes. This is the point. At other points, no.
Okay, so we're back to networking. I commend you for being here tonight because you met me and you're going to meet that gentleman and you're going to meet your colleagues here. They may have jobs for you. Okay, so there you go. LinkedIn and Indeed. I'm on Indeed pretending I'm applying for a job, and Indeed send me the jobs every day, and then I transfer it to my friend in Saudi Arabia who is Canadian and is coming tomorrow or next week, and I keep telling him apply from there. So the jobs come to you without you lifting a finger. Just put your resume and register on Indeed that you're looking for the drive, looking for whatever position you want, and Indeed will sort them and send them to you. Okay? I don't know, I'd like to ask you, for me, LinkedIn and Indeed are my two primary tools for jobs. I don't know about your field.
LinkedIn, I would say, is a lot more safe. When a company posts their job position in LinkedIn,
I got my job through LinkedIn.
So, for example, Apotex, they would have a position open. Now, pharmaceutical companies technically like to hire from the bottom up. They like to, even, it doesn't matter what degree you have, and the time of expecting to be launched right into the position that you want as like quality assurance or stuff like that is not going to happen anymore with the pharmaceutical company. They literally want you to start from the bottom. You are going in there as a production technician, even if you haven't, you finish your school here and so on. Now, for hiring purposes, to be transparent and everything, I noticed that companies like Apotex, they will post a job, but they will hire internally. So they will post it on Indeed and like Indeed. They wouldn't go as far as posting it on LinkedIn and everything, because that is you're dealing with a different department and they will be posting it for you. Now, Indeed, any HR person in the company can just go and post it. Now, this sometimes they do it for transparency. Now, this doesn't happen with all the companies, but most of them do that, and they then hire somebody within the company who they would identify. But they do it for transparency purposes. It's frustrating as hell, guys. Okay, so that's why I say LinkedIn, because when somebody is posting up there, I feel that they're seriously looking for people. So that is I prefer LinkedIn more, but Indeed is a good choice too. Like, it's not to totally dismiss Indeed, but Indeed it's how do you say it? It is so flooded. It is now so flooded where everybody could just put it there just to collect resumes and so on as well. So I noticed that happening. And it's, yeah,
So last week, or a couple of weeks ago, I had 3 entry-level positions with contractors, small contractors. Remember, he's in a different field than I am, and therefore we're talking from 2 different exposures. And somehow, some Indian students at Conestoga College, they're all doing their masters. So I just put it as a banner. I'm looking, or Sabat Staffing is looking for entry-level position. All of a sudden, I got 20 resumes from Conestoga College students who are graduating. That's why I keep saying, network, go to school and go take courses. So I don't, if I want a $100,000 person, I go inside LinkedIn and I search and I do whatever I want to do. But just an entry level, I know I'm going to be flooded. I just put it as a banner. Whoever catches it, and therefore hook up yourself to as many people as you can on LinkedIn. Okay, yes. I accept all invites. I will send you invites to look up.
I literally, if I go somewhere and I just sit there, go through my LinkedIn, I'm like, okay, operations manager, connect. Because it's very important for me. They post up, a lot of things, because it's also related to my field as well. So I also do hiring for cannabis industry. So I'm hooking up with everybody who's in the cannabis. Not a lot of people are in there, but there's going to be a lot of transition from the pharmaceutical to cannabis. So I am also from I was in the pharmaceutical industry. So, it's about placing yourself strategically and connecting. And every time I see a pharmaceutical company has a company page, I immediately follow them. And if you notice in the pharmaceutical, the cannabis industry field, like when I'm following their pages and everything, they are posting for jobs because they're just starting up right now. So they're very serious. I barely get to see any of their posts coming on Indeed. But in LinkedIn, they are looking to attract people who are from the pharmaceutical industry and bring them over to the cannabis field, because it gives them a lot of shortcut where they're cutting through so much things. So you're right. And the entry jobs and everything, Indeed is a huge help. That is true, but I find LinkedIn a lot more serious, lot more serious.
Thank you.
I'm not familiar with that one.
Okay, so now we come to our next question. You're at work, you overcame the resume and the interview and all those challenges. Can you tell us about your work experience? Is it different than any other job that you used to perform before you came to Canada? What was different? What did you feel we as international professionals have as weaknesses, and what are our strengths? And what did you do to overcome these different weaknesses or differences, let's say?
I guess you'll have to start from somewhere. Yeah, I would say you have to, I'll tell you my my personal experience. I started in drafting business, so it was a bit different. I had 10 years of technical structural design experience in an engineering office. So the first job was drafting job, but again, I gained some experience from it because I got to see the engineering drawings that Canadian firms produce, and I would draw rebar on it. So it wasn't like a waste of time for me. It was a good start.
So was it different?
It was different, yeah.
Drawings were different?
Yeah, there was some differences. Again, for me, it was not that different because I studied in Jordan, so we use the American codes, which is very similar to Canadian code, but still the standards are different. The second job for me was with a contracting company, which is again somewhat different. But like every job you take, you're taking steps. So you're taking steps towards your dream job. So my newest job it's purely, it aligns very well with my previous experiences. There are still some differences. We are using different softwares from the ones I know, but I have the theoretical background to manage myself through these softwares. So it's always going to be different, but if you're willing to learn and keep learning and just show your interests, be positive about it, it's like any challenge, you can overcome any challenge. It's a journey, it's not a trip. That's the thing. Like you're always learning new stuff.
Do you have problems like with jokes or see that there's
Definitely,
small
like
things,
even with
small talk,
email writing, like
email writing.
I'll just tell you this. Maybe it's yeah. So when I first started my first job, like I think we were late on some delivery, some shop drawings for a contractor, and he kept sending me. He sent the first email, I think, complaining about the time, and then I sent him the email, dear blah blah blah, and he said Obada blah blah blah. So I thought that he was like angry or something, but I found that it's normal to start just with the name without any dear or yours sincerely or whatever. Like I think we got some very formal education, but it's more flexible here, and they're not that formal as the other.
Okay, the most important thing that I learned from my previous and current job, that be realistic and don't be a hero. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this because in my previous job I was doing utility locating. So every technician is assigned to do some number of tickets. So
Previous job here or somewhere else?
no, here in Canada. So people used to do 8 to 9 tickets per day. I was doing 14, sometimes 15. So the company, they were very happy of what I'm doing. But when a better opportunity for a higher position came in the same company, I applied. And they called me for the interview, but they didn't pick me up. Now I know what, because okay, they say to themselves, this person is doing great here. He's doing like 1.5%. Why to move it to another position? Let's keep him busy doing the same. He's doing a good job for us. The other thing here is specialty. So this is your job, just do your part. This is a big chain and you are assigned to one part of the chain. I know most of the engineers back home, they used to do estimating, drafting, everything. But here there is a specified person for every single piece of this long chain. So do your part and just do your part. Don't volunteer to do anything. Okay, the printer is not working at the office. Oh, I'm gonna fix it. I know someone who can fix it. No, it's not your job. Just do whatever you are assigned to do. And don't be a hero, don't be a shining star. Okay, do your best. Shine by doing your best, by doing your job properly, but don't overdo it. Otherwise, you will be stuck in the same position.
Yeah. So I agree basically with both of you.
No, he's working with me with the same company.
I understand him more in depth.
Okay, so I agree with both what you said, and like Lulu only said jokes, so it's really hard to hear. Yeah, to follow the jokes. Also, like they have here like break time. That's something very important. So to go and chat with people, so like they respect that. Even if you're working with a client, it's your break time. It's okay, you can go. For the email, so like dear Mr. blah blah blah. No, just name. Hello, Evelyn. And just so I feel here it's kind of like more simple but more serious than what I used to work in Syria. I don't like, I've been here for 15 years. I don't know like now what's. So when I was working with Syria, usually we don't work for 8 hours. Here you have to stay in the office for 8 hours. Work is work. Yeah, so that's something different.
I
As an AutoCAD drafter, because I'm working here as an AutoCAD drafter, the thing that bothered me the most, that back home I used to have my computer, my calculator, my paper, my drawings, my numbers, and leave me for 3 days, I can give you whatever you want. Here I need to draw and deal with the customer and deal with their nagging. I want this shelf here. Oh, cancel this, I don't want this, put this here. So I have to be more patient. I have to smile a lot. I have to have, don't panic. It's not my duty, but I have to do it. I'm not happy with it, but I have to do it. Sometimes I feel that I will have a heart attack because she's nagging all the time. They have to smile, and she's nagging. So this is the difference. But back home, give me everything, leave me 3 days, I can give you whatever you want.
Okay, so here's my point of view. I can take any one of you here and put you as an estimator in a company, and I can go to George Brown and get a graduate and put him next to you, and competing together and see who's going to be way ahead. Who's going to be way ahead? Come on.
We are.
Of course. Number one, you have life experience. You have self-confidence. Even though you're trembling in the interview, you still have self-confidence in performing the work. So this is my message to most of my clients. You want me to get a George Brown College? I can do that, but I prefer to get one of you and get that person in at the same level, and then see what you're going to do, because once you're in, you're in. Now, the sky is the limit, and I'm going to disagree with that half of the table. Do whatever it takes to move up. I put a gentleman at $40,000 as an estimator. Within a year, he was promoted to chief estimator, and he was making $100,000. Okay? Now, here's the problem. When he got into a fight a year later and he separated ways, he insisted on getting a job as a chief estimator. So I get a piece of paper from him called resume, and I see chief estimator for 2 years, and he's without a job. If he was with the company for another 5 years or 10 years as chief estimator, I believe him. So me, I wasn't believing my own applicant, okay? So how would my friend there is going to look at his resume and say, you're chief estimator within 1 year in Canada? So he had trouble getting a job until he went to Alberta and went to SNC Lebanon and got a job, okay? So we start from the starting point. I don't see any of you, well, maybe some of you. I get them from overseas, and I used to be the manager of 20 people, manager of the whole construction department. And now I'm going to start at zero. Yes, you're going to start at zero. You're going to accept a job that is, you may not even know how to do the job anymore, okay? But the trick is this. The moment you're in, your own personal confidence, self-confidence and skills is going to promote you very quickly and very fast, okay? But if you stay under the table and you do your job, you never ever get out of that job. You can stay in that job forever, okay? So don't take that risk. One last thing I want to say. Any time I look at the resume, I look for Western education, whether it's in Europe or America, States, or not necessarily Canada, because that's considered Canadian experience. As I look for your English command and whether you went to school that taught you things in English, because I know you're going to be better than the next person. So I always look for that.
Okay, any questions?
How many questions do you have?
We're gonna take this question and like a 10-minute break, and then we'll resume. We have 3 more questions. Yeah. And then we'll open it.
Trying to sell yourself, right? If you have no Canadian experience, nobody knows you, so you're trying to sell yourself, and I feel like if you accepted whatever they give you, and if they were not like very good people there, or let's say it's a 10,000 people company, so nobody will notice you. So you're supposed to sell yourself in a grade that you can be noticed, but they will know that, to an extent that they will know that this guy is flexible and he's not like very pushy. He wants you to do it very fast with you. So the loyalty is very important for every company, but it's very hard just to tell them that you can accept that and you waste a chance to be promoted like in a short time. So it's very important to show them like the thing that will make them take you, because if you like applied as a machine operator in a factory, right, and they were looking for some supervisor, and there you have competitors, let's say. So maybe your competitor will be more powerful and they will remove you. So I think it's very important, like the connection comes over the resume or resume writing, and that's the point. So sometimes you feel it's scary if you hide yourself, and so they can accept you and you start making the living, but you're hiding yourself in it to an extent that nobody will promote you.
Well, if you work in the construction industry, which is houses and buildings and roads, not in the big engineering projects, you're going to be working with maybe 2 people in the whole office, 2-3 people. So whatever you do is going to show right away. And if the boss notices you, it's going to notice you. So I'm not talking about big firm where they have, you know, assembly lines and they have 30, 40 people or 100 people. Most of my clients, they don't have HR department. They have basically the president, the owner, and maybe a couple of other employees, and you're going to be working for them. So you will be noticed. The gentleman I'm talking about was working for a company, I think in the whole office there were about 15 people, and he was an estimator with 2 other estimators who were there before him, and he jumped him, he became the chief estimator. I'll tell you why, because he was about 45, 50, he had knowledge of advanced system like Primavera, okay, software, and the company was behind technology. So when he showed them that he can use Primavera, and he showed them that he can do the existing job, but he can take them ahead, the president started trusting him and moved him up the ladder.
Can I ask you about your opinion if you saw somebody that had a construction worker on his resume and he was trying to apply for his wages?
That's good, that's acceptable, but I minimize the importance of that. That's acceptable. You're trying to do a job better than flipping burgers, right? Even flipping burgers is acceptable because I can call your boss and get a reference on you. Just get any job to get you going, pump gas on the weekend, and go Monday to Friday to school. Do something.
Are you gonna take that thing seriously? Like,
Yes.
Like
Yes.
You won't have any like suspicion. Why is that guy that's smart and he's doing that lower level job?
Because that's
Everybody knows
that makes you better than everybody else who don't have a job. At least you have something in construction. Okay?
Last time, one of our panelists gave a good advice. Try and work for a small firm where you will be noticed, where you will be able to do multiple things and shine, and then move on to a bigger firm. Or if you're now in a firm where there's too many people and you're not being noticed, look for something else. But work in the meantime until you find something that's better. Just don't sit idly. Go ahead.
Don't send me a resume saying you're working for ABC company and you've been there 2 months and now you want to change the job.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I know what you're going to do. You're going to go for my job, spend 3 months, and somebody will pay you 50 cents more, and you're going to jump again. So unless I tell all my new Canadians to spend a year to 2 years, then come back and guaranteed I'll get you a better job. But you have to show me stability, and nowadays stability means 2-3 years. You don't have to spend 50 years with a company. 2-3 years and then you move and you move and you move again. However, I've seen, I call them estimators, I've seen one guy who was jumping. And the sad part of the construction industry is they allowed him to jump and they allowed him to keep working because all of a sudden he has 5 years of Canadian experience on his resume, even though he jumped every 6 months. And we need people. We cannot even exclude them, so we use them.
Okay, we're gonna go for a break. Okay,
We have 2 more questions and then we'll open it up for discussions. So, what were the most important skills in the work environment and what helped you gain these? Was it being a professional engineer?
You can merge the 2 questions.
Yeah, was it being a professional engineer? Did that help? Was it soft skills? What are the skills that you recommend and how to get them?
We answered that. We answered no, not.
Did we answer that? I don't think we answered that. No, we did not.
Somebody's gonna start.
Okay, about the skills, I'll move into the professional engineer stuff. But about the skills, I would say again, language and communication skills in general. So this bridging program will help you with both language and communication skills. And again, within your field, if there is a certain software that is needed, you have to master that. If there's whatever tools you need that is required, I think you should master that.
So currency, let's say currency. What's current in your field?
Yeah,
Specific.
like for structural engineering, I guess we're a very classic, in a way, we're a very classic field. The only new things are the software, structural software. Other than that, like Newton's rules still apply to this day, so there's no new development. Like main development in structural engineering are material and software. New material, new software, but the gravity is the same. So
Gravity is the same, right?
yeah. Shall I talk about the professional engineer?
Yes.
So it's from the last session, it was a big debate, and I would say there is no one unique answer, but I would say especially for designers, or if you're working as design, if you have to stamp drawings, you have to have, at a certain point, you have to have a professional engineer. So in order to maybe not to get into this debate, the easy answer to your question for every individual one of you is that when you apply for the job that the job that you think matches your credentials and skills, and the job that you want to work with. So if you see in this posting, if you see that P-Eng is required or an asset, then definitely P-Eng will add to you. If it is not required, then it's up to you if you want to just get it for yourself.
Is there any harm in being, starting the process?
No, the process is easy. It's you don't have to be out of work, or you can be working and applying to because it's a long process. It takes at least 2 years. Like ideally, you need 12 months of experience under Canadian supervision. So, but usually for internationally trained professionals, it tends to take more than 2 years because you have to get the experience.
So I see a lot on job postings, engineer and training required is an asset. So there are many job postings that require training. Is it a benefit?
If you are a designer, they need to know that you are serious about being a P-Eng, that you are planning to get P-Eng. For most of us, that's the thing for most of us. We have more than maybe 5-6 years. When you have more than 5 years of experience in a, say, technical field, engineering field, and you don't have a P-Eng, there's a big question mark on you. Why don't you have a P-Eng at this point? So definitely, if you are a technical person, you should have a P-Eng, and it is required. So you tend to find always P-Eng or EIT eligible for P-Eng. So that's a big thing for you to get the job that you deserve.
From my point of view, always show your accomplishments. So be proud of what you did before. So for me, recently I get my PMP certificate. So I proudly share that on LinkedIn profile, and I get so many connections from so many people asking me about the process, how did I do it. And since I received my certificate, I got this pin. So that's why I wear it. So if you have it, show it. Don't be shy. Sell yourself properly, introduce yourself to other people, because you don't know, maybe the person who's sitting next to you, he's gonna refer you to another job. If he saw the pin here on your jacket or on your shirt, he's gonna ask you, okay, what's this? I'm really curious, what's this? Where did you get it from? What's the way to get it? Oh, you are a PMP certified. So be proud, show your accomplishments. For PNG process, from what I see, don't rush. Don't rush, take your time. I applied to the PE Professional Engineers of Ontario after 3 months since I came to Canada. And at that point, I was invited to the interview, and it was on the first day of my first job here. So I had to take a day off. I went there with the minimum amount of preparation. So unfortunately, I didn't pass the interview. The other reason for that is the language. I had the English language, but I didn't have the words to express engineering technical academic words in English. So that's a weakness point. So if I took like 6 months to settle down, to rent an apartment, to move, to settle down with my family, that would be easier for me. And also, before taking this step, consider that if you didn't pass the interview, you have only 5 semesters to do your exams. So okay, settle down first. Now they sent me a letter, they said, hey Karim, this is your last chance to do your exam. So I'm writing my first exam with the pressure of family work and everything else. So don't rush. One more thing, if you have a huge experience working on site coming from Middle East, Professional Engineers of Ontario is not your destination. Go for something else. Work on project management, get your PMP certificate, go for CET, Certified Engineering Technician. It's an easier process and it's related to your experience. So if you have never done design before, there is no point going for professional engineers. Okay, you can pass the exams, you can go for all the requirements, but at some point, someone is going to interview for the position of designer, but you have ever done design before. So again, you will not be able to obtain your PNG license, you will not be able to introduce yourself to come to the interview as a designer. So don't rush, pick whatever it suits you. Professional engineers, it doesn't give you a job. It's not the way to get a job, but it's another way to get a job. If you see yourself fits in this position.
Don't limit yourself to PE.
Exactly, don't limit yourself. There is too many other options. And again, like what Sam said, sky is the limit now. So go ahead, search the web for any other useful things related to what you have done before. Otherwise, you will be wasting time, you will be wasting money, and you will be frustrated. Oh, I didn't pass the interview. Oh, I have to do exams. Oh, they didn't recognize me as an engineer. Okay, because you have ever done this design before. You are very good in something else. It's not the end of the world.
It doesn't need to be engineer. You can work in construction field like as estimator, coordinator, project manager. No need to be engineer. And like what the skill, I think the most important language, and these days computer. So you need to be familiar with computer, with programs. And also all of you engineers, so like you understand the concept, you understand all, you can see all the picture. This is very important. And this is, as Sam said, so you're better than newly graduate from estimating course at George Brown, because you know everything about engineering. And like this is very good actually for you. You want me to talk about PEO too?
I want to ask you, you are applying for PEO? Or
Yeah,
you
yes. So you want me to talk for that?
Okay, so what's made you do that, if you're saying it's not important?
Yeah, because I did that before. I did that before I
So you're
start.
finishing off the journey.
Yes, I did that. I applied for PEO before I start construction or estimator. So I went for interview and I passed the interview. I did the ethics and law. So how you go for interview? If you have 5-year experience outside Canada, you can go right away for interview. If you pass the interview, you don't need to do the technical exam. If you don't pass the interview, you have to go for technical exam. So in my case, I passed the interview. I just need to go for ethics and law. I didn't pass it from the first time, but the second time I did. Now, as I'm working as estimator, but I have just to get 1 year as Canadian experience in engineering field. So I decided to go to that because this is my last step. So I don't want to lose all that I thought before.
So you're doing it to finish the journey and not because you necessarily need it.
It's not necessary for my work, no, but I like to finish that
She
job.
passed the major step.
Yeah.
Yes, I did I need like the last step, and I like to have it. The hardest one, yeah, it's we are engineers. We're not we didn't graduate for nothing. We studied 5 years over there, and we did a lot of tests, a lot. So you have that knowledge in you. Yeah, you have it. It doesn't matter from Canada or from Syria. Beam is beam, column is column. So just go for it.
So I recently applied for the CEO because I need to do it, because I want to do it. I don't know what I will do with it, but I have to have it. I need to have my own weapons with me. Sam advised me something else, and I may listen to him.
What did he say?
Okay, something between me and Sam.
This is
Run their own business.
Because I have that.
no, she's acting like Canadian now. So this is Canadian experience.
No, because starting your own business is an option. So.
Yeah, but I will start my own business in inspection.
Okay, but that's important.
I do it. I do it, but I have to start my.
Okay.
So for the skills, I
I'm
think.
going to skip that question. That's why I'm bugging her. They asked me to skip it, so talk about it now. Nice.
So the skills you need in the environment, each environment needs their own skills. So sometimes you need the soft skills more than hard skills, they say. Sometimes you need something, as for me, I need more communication skills in my work because I need to deal with those nagging people. Yeah, I have to be patient, and it's not me. So every environment needs its own skills. So I don't have anything to say more than this.
So then go back to Sam's advice. Yeah.
Okay, so the skills, first of all, everybody here is considered an entry-level position. We're not going to talk about experienced people. So first of all, I look at your resume, I'll see how many English grammar mistakes. And once you pass that, I talk with you, you call me, I call you, and I check your accent, and I check if I understand you or not. If not, you're going to be at the bottom of the pack. I'm telling you right off. Okay? If you pass the accent, then now I look at the technical skills, and I see what you've done back home, whatever it is. If you built banks and buildings, and my client wants to build buildings, then you move to the top of the pile. If it's roads and you've done roads, then you move. Recently I've done a beginners or an entry level, and it was exactly like this. They do paving and they do roads. So I brought them a gentleman from India, and he had he was Filipino, and he had the experience in roads back from the Philippines, and he got the position. Originally I was telling the client to pay $40,000. I looked at the applicant resume, and I convinced the owner to pay 45 and up. And as the candidate passed the interview, and I liked his credentials more, I went back to the owner. I said, pay him $52,000, because if you don't pay him a good salary, within a week, within a month, another recruiter sitting there is going to come and steal him and going to offer him more money. So you're not in construction, so I'm not worried about you, but there are enough people, and I can tell you horror stories, okay, where the applicant got stolen from one company to another and given $70,000, and just to discover that person get laid off immediately. Okay, so the key is English grammar, then accents, and we don't have an accent problem here, thank God. And then we go to the ability to read blueprints, and all engineers can read blueprints. Blueprints. Then I break you between architecture versus civil. Yes, I know some of you civil have done buildings back home, because we've done, okay, as civil engineers. But I look at your experience and see exactly where you fit in, whether it's in the architectural field, buildings, or civil. I want to say one thing. If you go and take PMP and you become a project, qualified person. I've done PMP as an IT guy, and I've done PMP as a civil. They're not the two. They're not the same. Owners look for people. When I'm talking about owners, construction companies, they look at people who have specific experience for that specific job. If I am a site super and I talk to a couple of people and I built nothing but residential condos, if you're going to go commercial, I may not send you to a commercial job. You are good in condos and you're going to stay in condos. Now, you have to resist that and get diversified experience. But my clients come to me and say, I want somebody who built condos. That's it. That's the experience. If I give them a civil engineer who never built condos, built roads and whatever, I lose the assignment. It's my job to find the right person for it.
Sam, it's just, you was just saying that you are hiring now everybody who is in here for entry-level position.
Yes.
So that means with the background of civil engineering, it's enough for you to get him hired.
I agree with you.
So, yeah, but now you are talking as you are hiring an experienced person.
No. I break you into two groups.
Okay. So
both are entry level. You and the lady here are entry level.
Everybody here. For
yes.
sure, anyone less than 2 years or 3 or less than the age level, he is an entry level, right?
Yes, I'm assuming zero experience as entry level.
Okay,
no Canadian experience whatsoever.
Why you want us to start with our previous experience as a background? Okay, maybe for me, I came from construction side back home, and
yes.
now I would like to work for residential. Okay,
but she's done residential, so she goes in first before you. Remember, I get paid if I put the right candidate.
Now I got it.
Okay?
Thank you.
I just want to insist on what Soj mentioned before. Don't do your resume very complicated. Don't use the very tough technical words or abbreviations. Even if you need to use it, explain it. So if you said I'm PMP, that's project management professional, mention that, because it could be the HR who's looking at your resume, he's not in your field. In my current job, I got a call from a project coordinator for a big tower downtown Toronto, and from the way he's talking, I know that he doesn't know anything about construction. I checked his LinkedIn profile, and he never studied anything or did anything related to construction. But he's the project coordinator. He's the one who's taking care about the phone calls, files, drawings, and everything else. But if you want to ask him technical question, he will not be able to answer you. So that's a miscommunication between you and him. So keep it simple, stupid. Keep it as simple as possible. Show yourself, show your accomplishments, but don't do it very complicated.
But then again, use the keywords in the job description.
Exactly. Use the keywords,
Same terms.
show your accomplishments, but again, explain what is that. So I'm a CET, explain, okay, certified engineering technician. So now he will be able to know what a CET is.
Nobody wants to talk about career change?
No, I'm going to talk about it.
Okay.
How many of you are considering to run your own business? And the first question is, I don't have money to eat, never mind starting my own business. You have to consider starting your own business. I'm sitting here because I started my own business. Yes, I had some money, but I started my own business. I went into software. I was selling software. Okay, and I wasn't making big money, right away. So the question is, should you consider doing freelance estimating, freelance design, freelance whatever it is? The answer is yes. You're doing nothing right now. Might as well connect yourself to somebody and offer AutoCAD drafting. I get jobs sometimes. I need somebody to do as-built drawing. Okay, we know what as-built drawing, or is that technical term? Okay, so I refer those jobs to her or to whoever is in my list of freelancers, and I have a big list on estimators. I have a list of project managers. Sometimes there are jobs who want project manager for 6 months. You think the regular guys who have jobs are going to apply? No. So we have to find somebody. So consider starting your own position, your own business, whether it is teaching, whether it is doing anything, as long as you do your own business and you do it from home and you write off half of your house. And one more thing, try not to live at home unless you are forced. Live away from other Arabs so you can speak the English language, and when you feel you're comfortable, go back to mommy and daddy.
I just want to
Sorry.
say something.
Yes, you have to live with your parents, but don't work for Arab companies. Okay, don't go and work in a gas station where they speak Arabic all the time. Work with a different culture so that you're forced to speak
Comfort zone. Get out of your comfort zone. I think we have experience here. Somebody in the crowd talked about 1 month of project. Wait, let's listen to Arwa.
Yeah, hi everyone. First, I got a contract for 1 month. It was training for staff at Toronto Hydro. Train them on new phone system. Actually, it's not my job. I'm IT system and network administrator. So, and I have to train English people. And it was just after 1 year when I came. So, the project manager there, he told me, I will help you. It was because of networking, and networking for professional people and in the field for over 5 years. So the project manager told me, I will help you. I got that project. It was 1 month only. After that, after 2 or 1 month, they called me for another project, and currently I'm working for that project. It's 1 year project. And after this, they will renew the contract because still there is work in this project. So every single company, they have their own doors. Sometimes it's very small door. Don't ashamed to open that door. Thank you.
I think also Hazem wants to tell something. Because we're recording.
So,
You can come here.
okay. So my name is Hazem. I was here in this room 3 years ago with Span, when I knew Span. Yeah, and they have a great event for the successful stories. So with Manal, if you remember. So I found this approach was very helpful for me. I got like some stories and like very optimistic stories to start with, and then started my journey to find a job. I started with co-op like bridging, like access employment and some bridging programs. I got a co-op job for like 2 months or something with constructing company, but I didn't like it, so I left them. After that, I started applying on Indeed for more than 10 months. And then it didn't work at all, nothing. So I started another approach, which is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is very powerful and very efficient. I saw a word here saying that you have to have a strong LinkedIn profile, but what does it mean by strong LinkedIn profile? I have some points to have a strong LinkedIn profile, like few points. If you like, write it down. First of all, to have a professional photo. Professional photo, it's not a passport photo, nothing, never. You have to have a photo from a professional photographer to give you a good pose or something like that in order to pull the eyes of recruiters. So this is the first thing. The second thing is the recommendations. Recommendations from your colleagues, from your managers, from your subordinates, whoever. You have to ask everyone who you worked for or you worked with, you have to ask them for the recommendations. This is very powerful because the recruiters will see the history of your before you came to Canada. The third thing is the heading. What's the heading? What you have to write something to attract the eyes of recruiters. You are like someone who are looking for a job, and you are experienced in blah blah blah. The fourth thing is the connections. You have to be more specific in connections, who you will connect, and what you will write in your message to the one who are you going to connect with. So, for example, like a recruiter, or you cannot take the default message that I want to connect to your, this is nothing, this will not work. So you have to prepare something to show your common interest with someone who is in the industry or a recruiter in the same industry. So the last thing, you have to target like minimum 1,000 connections. This is it will take time, but it's very powerful. After these 10 months, I started to work on LinkedIn for about 45 days, like maybe 6 hours a day. I got the first 2 interviews within 45 days only. So the problem that I was overqualified in these 2 interviews. I have my master's degree in my field, more than 17 years of experience in project management or construction management, PMP certified, certified cost professional. So all of these, let's say, I'm not gonna say the bad word, but they are not gonna work. So, I started the third approach after LinkedIn. It was the George Brown College. I started with George Brown College for a year with a placement job. It's not your program, it's another program. But I had another plan which I started with a company. I've started a company in my field, also the construction management. But I changed my plan. I finished the program because I like to have this program. But I started to have a job after finishing this program, not through my own business because it didn't work because I don't have connections for doing private business. So I started to try again with LinkedIn. I got 2 offers in 1 week. One of them is an American company. The other one doing projects, like 30 projects here in Canada. And the other one is Ellisdon. I got the first offer from that American company through LinkedIn. The other one was through connections. The guy who gave me work with Ellisdon, he saw my resume. He's actually one of my students. I give technical training for like preparation courses for the technical exams for PO or whoever in technical exam in Canada. So he was one of my students. He's a project manager in Ellisdon. He told me, you have to, I feel sorry that you are not in Ellisdon. Within a week, he prepared an offer for me to start with Ellisdon. So I left that American company and I apologized to them and started with Ellisdon 3 months ago. So actually, I think this is something means that you have to work hard to have your first job and to have good connections, good communication skills with people. Sometimes being PA doesn't work. To be an EIT or PNG, maybe you don't like to work as a designer. I don't like to work as a designer, and I hate design subjects when I was in the college. But to be a PNG or EIT, it's something in Canada gives you a credibility, gives you an image beside your name. I need only the PNG to be like only 4 letters beside my name, but it will mean more. It will mean for me a lot. That project manager in Ellisdon, when I didn't write actually that I'm EIT. He told me, you have finished all your exams, you finished your PP exam, the ethics and law, you finished your 12 months experience, and you don't like to write EIT. It's very important, you have to write. Okay, so I write my master's degree, I wrote my that I'm EIT. So it's very important in the market, especially in the big companies. Yeah, I'm almost done. Yeah, for the interior code, someone asked about the interior building code. If you want to work for the technical like job or something, you have to have a course in the interior building code. This is very important for you. For the estimating, who people who like to work in the estimating, George Brown College is a very good approach to start with that. I'm almost done. Thank you so much. And if anyone wants to...
Anybody has any questions?
Just a comment, it's Hazan, right?
Hazan, yes.
About a month ago, I was on YouTube and I discovered a video on how to make my LinkedIn profile very appealing. I've had a profile, so I looked at the video, I reposted the video, okay, on LinkedIn, and I followed the instructions. And it took me about 3 hours to fix my profile because my profile was good in the beginning. So go to YouTube and search how to make your LinkedIn profile stand out, and then follow the video. Let it run on one side and fix your LinkedIn profile that way.
And LinkedIn is your new Facebook, people. Whatever you do on Facebook, do on LinkedIn, but professionally. And it shows up, it pops up in front of everybody, and people know what you're up to. So post good ideas, accomplishments. So these things get noticed.
I check both Facebook and LinkedIn for every candidate that I'm
It works, guys.
Okay.
I'm telling you.
So if you look nice, it's better.
Okay, and we have one more contribution. Muhammad wants to tell us something.
Hi, my name is Muhammad. First of all, I'm an architect. So I'm just currently we're experiencing hiring process. So I would like to share it with you guys. First of all, the Canadian experience. Actually, if you have Canadian experience, which is not what we are looking for, so it would be useless for the firm. For example, here there was a question about if I have experience in planning and I would like to apply for architectural job. It's Canadian experience, but useless for the architectural position, because actually we're looking for someone who's gonna work on shop drawings, architectural shop drawings, Canadian architectural shop drawings. You know what I mean? So it's completely different. Not related to planning drawings. So this type of experiences, from my perspective, from my firm perspective, is useless. If entry level is useful, because you, as they said, you get reference actually. So it's useful to get reference, useless to get a career, unless you want to grow up in that career, in that field, which is planning or whatever. This is the first point. The second point, the Canadian experience challenging from my perspective is, from architectural perspective, let me say, is the differences between the architectural drawings, between the Canadian architectural drawings and the back home architectural drawings. Everybody knows that there are big differences in the material, installation methods, construction methods, because the materials here are different, completely different. The main material is wood, the construction material. So from our perspective, this is the Canadian experience. We don't look to the person, white, black, whatever. We don't look to a strong verbal communication skills, because at the end of the day, we're looking for experience and we're looking for, let me say, technical skills. I'm not looking for someone who is fluent in English. So from my perspective, actually, this is something important, but it's not the first thing that I'm going to look at. I'm talking from a small firm. Yeah, I'm talking from a small firm. This is, yes.
What is, first of all, in which industry this firm is working, and why communication skills is not important? Majority of Canadian firms Yeah, so what the point of small front end?
I'm not.
It's just CAD designing, familiarity with Canadian code, let me say coding tool.
Yes, so for the actually language skills, I'm not saying that it's not important. It is, but it's not the first thing that I'm going to look at. For example, if I have someone who has 2-3 years experience in Canada in architectural drawings and has the technical skills that I'm looking for, so actually the language, if he's strong verbally or not, is not something important for me. Exactly. This is first point. Second point, we have great example, which are actually, with my respect, Indians. Indians have like very weak accent, but there are millions of Indians here in Canada are working currently. No, accent, just accent. I'm talking about the accent. And some of them actually have weak English. They are not strong grammarly, you know. Chinese are the same. Egyptians are the same. A lot actually, a lot of backgrounds. So language is not the first thing that the hiring manager is looking at. But it's important, it's important. But if you have alternatives, which are the skills and the experience, so definitely it's not 100% important. Third thing that I would like to advise is Ontario Building Code. So who is looking to work in construction path, so Ontario Building Code is very, very, very important. At least to have background about it, to know how to use it. It's not necessarily to be strong or memorizing it. How to use it, just how to use it, and look up for the information that you need or that you need to use. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay.
He's a friend of mine, and he's like twice an age as mine. And he needs something to prove that I'm familiar with the electrical code, Canadian electrical code. And he found nothing similar to the domestic electrician exam. So if you are familiar with something that can prove, like some kind of exam that proves that you are familiar with that code. Like something that you can. Is that a question or? No, a question. Like, how can I prove that I already read the code and I'm familiar with it?
Let him give you an assignment, an estimate, or something that you really need the code, and you go to the code and produce the work. Okay, we are testing another student just right now to see if he knows how to do drywall estimating. So be ready for a test. Some of you will be tested to see if you can read blueprint, because I'm not going to hire somebody who's weak in reading blueprints. Okay, so ask him, say, can you give me one of your jobs that you did? Give it to me and I will produce it for you in a day or two, whatever the time period that he gives, considering you are new versus him who's experienced, or her. Okay?
But there's no certificate.
No, there's not. No.
George Brown does offer certificates if you go for courses.
There is no, I have to go to a program.
They're in parts. You can take a part and say that I know, I've done this part.
Sometimes you just have to say, I know it.
Yeah, be firm, be confident.
Trust people, and if you know it, just tell them that. Sometimes they don't test you. You just have to express that.
Project manager or something that says,
No.
I have that certificate, it's
If you go through the full courses, there is a certificate, but you can take one part of the course and say you've attended this course.
Because the master electrician proves 100% that you know this code. But he didn't find anything equivalent.
I wouldn't know. We don't know. You have to go to the colleges and do that. One last thing I want to leave with all of you. is if you're going to be an estimator, I keep saying this, even project manager, you have to know how to do it takeoff. And nowadays, we're doing takeoff using PDF fonts, okay? So there is a product called PlanSwift, which I sell, but I don't want to sell it. So I don't like it, but it's what the colleges teach. And I can send the link to every one of you. You download it for 2 weeks and you use it. So now you go into a job interview and the first question, do you know PlanSwift? And you're not going to say, you're going to say, yes, I know. So like what he said, sometimes you have to say, I'm familiar with it. That's good enough answer. You don't have to be an expert in it. And I'm not asking you to be an expert in PlanSwift. I'm giving you a tool that George Brown College teaches, and you're supposed to really know it. Otherwise, I'll hire the other person who knows that software, because we're not going to train you onto that. Okay? So go to PlanSwift or send me a link, send me your email, and I'll send the link. You download it and then use it for 2 weeks, and then that's it. But if you go to George Brown, you get to use it for 1 whole year free of charge. Okay? I like to sell another product. I don't like to sell this one. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to open it up to the public. Anybody has a question? Somebody said they wanted to ask. This is the end. This is the end.
I'll ask the question. Here you go. Tell us about yourself.
My name is Rani. I used to be structural engineer.
What happened?
Because I'm not engineer yet here in Canada. I cannot use the term. So I have few questions. Lulu, I think in the PDF that you showed in one of the slides, there is term placement offered.
Okay, I'll bring it up.
I'm not familiar with what's the meaning of placement.
You don't know what placement means? Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't know yet.
The same like co-op. So when you join a bridging program, they're going to offer you an unpaid job for 2 or 3 months. So if the company likes you, you fit in the position, they're going to give you a job offer. Otherwise, they're going to say, okay, thank you, you completed the co-op time or the placement time, and we're nice to meet you.
But you get the experience anyway.
But you get the experience. So you have to go through one of the bridging programs. They're going to refer you to one of the companies they are dealing with to spend their 1, 2, or 3 months unpaid to get some experience.
And some of them are paid. These internships are paid.
Some of them are paid.
You will send us this.
I will be sending this.
Okay, great. So we will follow those links and we can.
Hopefully. Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of when I
You
did
can
that course,
volunteer.
they sent me for free.
It's okay.
Send a letter to any company saying, I'm willing to volunteer for 2 months, 3 months. That's an intern.
Okay.
Usually the placement works better.
Yeah.
Some agencies like Ghosty maybe, they're gonna pay for your employer to hire you for 2 or 3 months. So if you are fine, they're gonna say, okay, we paid you enough, now the employer has to pay your salary. If not, the employer is gonna say, okay, it was nice to have you for us for 3 months, good luck with your job.
Yeah, but it gives you experience and it gives you something to put on your resume.
Yeah, the experience, that's what I'm looking for now.
The manpower, the government, they subsidize the intern too, sometimes. Especially if you can't find a job and you are going to the manpower and harassing them, they're gonna eventually, I don't know the procedure, they will say to you, here's a piece of paper, it used to be like this a few years back, go to the employer and say, if you hire me for 4 months, the government will pay my salary, okay? And
So what's it called? Is it Ontario Works or?
Ontario Works or something like that. So okay,
So it seems
so it's
that
still going on.
It seems plenty of options we can go through. So can someone, I mean, if anyone had experience in one direction, can be shared in
I have
our website.
The previous session, they had more diverse experiences with the bridging program. These guys only.
I told you when I did that.
I did one.
Yeah.
But I'm going to post both of them up on
Okay.
YouTube, so you'll see them both.
Okay, great. I assume one of those options is Career Edge, correct?
Yeah.
It mentioned there as well. Okay, what other? Karim, you mentioned about Sheridan or Rawada? I confused. One of you mentioned Ryerson.
Only me, Humber College.
Okay, Hamburg College.
Hamburg College. I did my bridging program at Access Employment Center, and they took us for 2 days for project management workshop at Hamburg College. But we get a certificate that we joined the Hamburg College for 2 days workshop.
It's
so
great.
it's useful to post that on your Indeed LinkedIn profile.
Okay, and I think you already paid a little bit minimum amount.
No, that's for Access Employment. It's totally free.
Totally free.
Yes, totally free bridging programs for newcomers professionals. It's paid by the government. It's government funded.
Nowadays they are getting $500 if it's under Hamburg or Senegal.
They reimburse you when you successfully finish the
Not necessarily.
Most of them do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. It's great and it's informative session. Thanks for all your efforts.
Anybody else have a question? Has anything to share? أي حاجة؟
I want something about here, as now I have 1 year in Toronto Hydro. So some of you spoke about English accent and proficiency. I saw many people, especially from some nationalities, during meetings it's hard to understand them. So it's not a matter of accent, it's a matter just to let the others understand you. That's it. Second point I want to share with you, when you apply for about 100 jobs during 1 week or 2 weeks, and next week you didn't get any call, that means there's something wrong within your resume. Now, if you got some calls but you didn't get any interview appointment, that means you did something wrong during the call. So try to review yourself, maybe record yourself. Now in interview, some of you will say like that, I think Hamza or Hazem, overqualified. Here, especially in big companies, they want 1 or 2 skills, that's it. If you told them that I worked like this, many things not mentioned in the job description, they will consider you either liar or overqualified. In both situations, you will not get the job. So overqualified, yeah, because here in job description, if they require 3-4 tasks, that's it. I know in Middle East we used to do many things, A to Z. Here they don't like this, and they don't want. Thank you.
But there is something I can't hide, my 17 years of experience. This is something I cannot
You
hide.
can say over 15.
Over 15, over 10, whatever. Whatever, it didn't work with me actually. So the recruiter told me actually that you are overqualified. Even I've hidden everything. So that's why I went for George Brown College before that.
How to connect between to have strong LinkedIn and whatever to be not appear that you are overqualified. This has confused me. I should have something strong on the LinkedIn, and also I should have all of my, not all, but like strong profile that what I did at past, what the projects I worked for, what I did in this project, some photos for this project and what I did in this project. Then when I will apply to the work, I shouldn't have all of this because they will know that easy that I am overqualified.
The thing that scares clients, especially for beginners position, is to say I'm vice president, which you were vice president back home, but now you're applying for entry-level position. Just put down senior estimator, senior project manager, because when I see 17 years experience and you are still project manager by itself, then that tells me something wrong about you too. But don't put down, operations VP, which you were. Lower, just get rid of the VP and you say operations manager. Call yourself something else. I call myself sales manager, sales and development manager. That's my title. Sometimes I put president, but president for what? Me and me? That's it. So I used to have 5 employees, but I don't have that. So I call myself sales and development manager. I don't even bring in any position. So lower down your position so that you're not overkilling the job that you're applying. And one thing you can help recruiters, don't send me PDF file. Because PDF file, I cannot submit it to some company and put my logo on it. Okay, I cannot edit your resume. I spend sometimes an hour or 2 hours editing your resume and fixing it, and you get it free of charge. But I'm not going to do it unless you are a good candidate for a position. So I will edit it, so send it to me in Word format. That avoids one email going back to you, say, send it in Word. And then what I do is I take all your personal information out, just leave your name, and I put across the top my business logo and my address so that the owners, they'll come back to me. And then I deal with you and I take you to I actually nowadays go to the interviews because some of you I don't have a chance to meet beforehand. So I go to the interviews and some of my clients like that. I'm also thinking of, is the other Sujan here or he's gone? I'm starting to put your picture onto the resume when I send it to the client. I steal it from your Facebook or from LinkedIn and I put the picture. Okay?
That's
so,
scary.
Well, everybody overseas does that. You put a picture if you were overseas, right? No, it's not illegal. It's not illegal. It's public knowledge, it's there.
If you put it out there, then
I'm putting it because the clients they can go and look up your name and see your picture. So I'm just making it much easier, especially if you are presentable. That's all I'm going to say. So I'm starting a new trend against my whole industry. And I don't care about my industry. I do what I want to do because my clients know me personally. They are not unknown. I go to them, they know me, I know them, I know what they want, I know how they think. Sometimes I ask them, do you want a lady? That's a legal question. But I know they want a lady and the other company doesn't want a lady. So, but that guy wants a lady and the other guy doesn't want a lady. Okay? So I know what they want and I try to give them what they want. Yes?
Is there any some kind of exchange of database between companies or something? I have some suspicions about that. Like if you are blacklisted with someone, somebody else will know about that. I know some recruiters who are exchanging your resume. Like I was in some job fair. I didn't apply for a certain job. It was Primerica. I applied for Bell. I remember something like that.
Primerica, you know, they get your credentials from everywhere because they are recruiting you. It's a multi-level marketing.
I understand, but I didn't apply for them, and I get some phone call from them, and they were there, but I didn't apply, and that happened not only one time, many times. I don't know how they exchange it. Many recruiters call me for offer me some jobs in certain areas, and they didn't tell me who gave them the number and who told them that I'm out of work at that time.
Okay, so I really don't know.
But are you familiar with
my database stays with me and doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm a one-man operation, so I won't.
That's my experience.
I'm not going to sell your resume out.
Yeah,
haven't reached that level.
Because many of the recruiters now or agencies, they are mentioning on their website that they will never send your resume to anybody without your permission. Which means they do it usually. And somebody suffered of that, so they start to outsell.
It depends on your instructions. If you say, I want to know which company, before you send it, I don't send your resume without talking to you first. But there is...
It's on LinkedIn.
Yeah, but that's why I don't put certain information according to what the gentleman said. Because I won't tell them that I'm overqualified, I need money now, I want to apply for some certain kind of jobs. So that's why I need only to get something here in Canada, takes like a certain identity, so I can tell them, okay, I'm there, I'm sure that I will get jobs through that certain position. Now I'm like a kind of flipper.
I need to get that entry-level job first. I start building things over it. Then I will tell them, okay, I'm professional estimator. I'm trying to improve, but I'm an IT, I'm whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
I know some people are spying on our profile. I do that. I found the recruiter's profile on Facebook. I know that how she looks towards Arabs, what she thinks, and I know
we all have our prejudices and preferences. Okay. I mean, I prefer you over somebody that I don't know just because you're here.
Yeah, I know.
I've seen you.
And that's why I'm here in person.
And by the way, I'm studying you as we know, and I'm studying your wavelength, and I know now what type of person you are. So there you go.
Thank you.
This goes a big way in my hiring, because I hire people that I've trained on the software and rub shoulder with, and if they are smart, then I try to later on hire them. And
So this is an informal interview.
Exactly.
Or is it not on Indeed? They're saying, no, their ads not on radio. They're saying, you're not hiring a resume, you're hiring the person beyond the resume. So here's the person beyond the resume. I was doing, that's my strategy.
So what do you think, why I'm here tonight? I'm helping her, but I'm also networking with you and helping myself, because some of you are going to send me resumes. I already saw very good people. Their credentials are very good. So I have something I didn't have 2 hours ago. Access to people with this, and at the same time I'm helping.
Thank you. Yeah, that's for sure. That's why I encourage everybody to come to all the meetings. Like we have here IT, we have architects, still networking, familiar faces, we know each other, we can recommend each other to other people. This is all part of networking. Thank you all for coming. Any last questions? Any final thoughts? Any advice? Any final words? Yes, sir, please.
It's how to contact you guys, if it's okay, by emails, LinkedIn, I don't know.
I'm sharing all their information after the session. I will share it there.
So, I mean, they are okay contacting with them, it's okay.
That's right here. So
Free business
talk
card.
to them, introduce yourself, take their card, take their name,
So is
take their
everyone
phone
on the
number.
Spanish group? WhatsApp group?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's
Okay. Okay, great, that's it. Thank you. Thanks, Anna.
Thank you.
Facebook.
LinkedIn.
No, if we need to send something.
I encourage everybody to connect with everybody else on LinkedIn, because then you know our connections, and then you get seen by more connections and more connections.
I'm going to tell you something on LinkedIn. As a recruiter, they charge me money to have access. So whatever information that she cannot get about you, I have access to all the information about you in the whole file. Because I paid to get it. You paid to get it, you get the information. That's what LinkedIn is all about. LinkedIn started with me networking with everybody and so on, so that I can sell them my trade, whatever is my trade. But then they went to recruiters and said, we will give you a little bit more info, and there is one of the fields that everybody can go in and say, looking for a new position. That's number one. Right in your title, you can say your name, looking for a new position. I read that because I don't want to pay. Now, if I pay the money and I go in the background, there's a field saying willing to relocate or looking for a new position. Now, your employer will never see that because your employer doesn't pay. I, as a recruiter, I go in now and I say, give me all doctors who are brain doctors. So, and they are in Rexton or Toronto, whatever. And I get a listing of 500. Then I go and narrow it down to the people who are currently searching. That information, you don't put it into your name because you don't want your boss to see you. But if there's another field, you put looking for alternatives. And then I send an email, private email. You cannot send that email. I can send it because I pay for it. Okay, now I stop paying, I go on, off, depending on the assignment. But Yes, because if I need a big person, okay, big credentials, 10 years, 20 years, then I will search inside that database. If I just need an entry level, I put it right on my status. It's about staffing looking for this. And some people have seen it.
Yeah, I've seen it. I always post it.
And I'm putting it on spam.
Yep.
I post it the
And
other
one
day.
important thing about LinkedIn, things have changed. In addition to that option, people are now selling themselves more openly, not just saying, I'm looking for a job. They will jump in and say, I mean, if you follow LinkedIn, you'll find really awesome stories. So you'll see somebody who says, I managed to do this and this, and he puts in something like he did that was awesome, and that brings attention. So be creative. People are doing all sorts of, so people are taking videos of themselves doing something and saying, oh, look what I did. So don't be shy, you know, be creative.
Yeah, I did it once and I get 2 job interviews. I did it once when I finished Ryerson University to do the equivalent of my degree back home. I put the certificate online and I said, hey guys, for all of my connection, I'm looking for a new challenge. So it works.
Okay, so connect on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Slack, please guys. WhatsApp does not fit any more members, so please join our Slack group. That's where I post most of my stuff, our stuff. So teamwork. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Tell us about yourself.
My name is Fawaz. I have bachelor degree in civil engineering and I am PMP certified. What I want to share that I came to Canada around 2 years ago. Before that, I was project manager in United Arab Emirates. So when I started here, I got a job as a detailer doing shop drawings. And I accepted that work since I didn't have other options. What I want to say that in no time, the company promoted me to be a quality assurance, quality control manager. So what I want to say that as in beginning, accept whatever you want, whatever you have, whatever you get offered about, and in no time, I believe if you have the right skills and you have enough confidence, you can jump and you will get promoted in very small time as well.
So what do you think was, what got you promoted? What were the skills that you had that they saw relevant in you?
I believe the management saw me as organized, focused. I have good communication skills, and they looked at my quality work as well, and that gave them an idea that I can be doing much more than what I am doing now.
That's great. Well, good to hear that.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I'm glad you shared this experience with us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.